Good morning, everybody. It's Friday. We made it. So we got a little bit of bump last night. Turns out that the two secretaries from the two different nations are planning to meet next week, and that's all that it took to give a little bit of confidence to the market. Just remember, this move is based on a warm, fuzzy feeling. So as soon as they lose that warm, fuzzy feeling, we're going to go back down again. There's some talk on 5 things you need to know about kind of what we talked about yesterday. When I mentioned that the market had really been pricing in a really aggressive, uh, hawkish Fed, and then the minutes came out kind of looking like they weren't so hawkish after all. And it looks like the market's trying to perhaps walk that back a little bit. So we have that on the table. There is a real big investigation going on over these block trades. There's a lot of articles on it. This might turn into something. It's maybe something worth keeping an eye on. Right now, they're not really accusing anybody of doing anything wrong, but that's a low bar on Wall Street. You know, they've gotten, they get away with some really shady stuff. There are some real large positions expiring today in the options market. Over $2.2 trillion of options are expiring today. So uh, we're going to be expecting a little bit of volatility out of that. And then we've got a lot of retail data coming in today. So I absolutely want to keep our eye on that. Speaking of the data, just come on into the market watch, 8:30 and 10 o'clock. So once we get those two out of the way, we're basically done when it comes to the econ. We're going to just be watching for news. Um, I had somebody reach out again yesterday about what news source. Obviously, you get what you pay for, but there is a free one that's relatively good. It's really fast. It's free. It always has external links to all kinds of amazing information, different paths. It has like you can go in and edit this so that it perhaps looks at more stock stuff if you're a stock trader, hits on the FX markets. So this is Finance Juice. I'm logged in, but I have the free account, so I mean I'm not paying for anything on this. And I find this really useful during the day. It catches all kinds of information. If you did want to actually spend money, there is a really amazing service from MarketSmith. Now, MarketSmith is what runs your Trade Flash. It's not cheap. It's like $350 a month. You got Trade Flash for free on Thinkorswim, but it's kind of a cut down generic version, right? This is the free version. It looks like they're offering a free week, at least their reports. Hammersmith or Hammerstone, they have all kinds of stuff, including like pre-market reports, midday reports, end of day reports, and then through the day. So they're offering a free trial. I didn't even know they were doing that today. But this Trade Flash, every morning when around 6 a.m., they post a, a little notice in Trade Flash saying where the information comes from. And then through the day, if if traders deem that something happened in the market that they think is relevant, it gets posted in here. My screen is black. That'd be on your YouTube side. I Yeah, the Zoom is working good. I just re-upped the YouTube side. We'll see if that works. So this trade flash, from what I understand, it's actually run by other traders. Um, so they see something and then they post it in here. Who they are or where they are, I have no idea. I just know I've listened to the guy that helped Tom Sosnoff put Thinkorswim together, and he's mentioned Trade Flash before and mentioned that it was actually a real group of people in there that are posting these things. I'm sure some of it's computer automated too, but for the most part, right? So I mean, if you're willing to spend the money, you could go to Hammersmith. You could also just have Trade Flash up, and then Benzinga Squawk is built into your Thinkorswim. So don't buy that because you got it for free, right? Just go to chat rooms. There's your Benzinga Squawk in here somewhere. Uh, so yeah, don't go buy that when you can just get Squawk for free. 8:30 and 10 o'clock. We're gonna have a short amount of economic data, and that's it, right? Once we're done with that, we're just gonna be watching for any kind of market moving news. Yesterday, for an example, we had a lot of market moving news. A really beautiful day yesterday. I really hope you guys took advantage of it. Good, clean price action, consistent, persistent price direction. It really doesn't get much better than that. And looking at the market breadth yesterday, we have the advancing issues on the S&P down here on the lower left, and then the advancing issues of the Nasdaq here in the middle. And you can see, I mean, there's 100 names in the Nasdaq, and we weren't even above 25. We didn't really get there or get above that at all. It was a really good day. We just held that. So really nice confirmation seeing the Nasdaq make this move through the day. Same thing with the S&P. It really tried to run up and get 25% of the S&P above the line. Couldn't even do that, right? So really clear market breadth, really nice clean price action. That's like just about as good as you could get. So we're going to be looking for a continuation of that. You can see where the news came in last night. That little pop is basically all that we got. And then since then, we've just been kind of giving it back nice and easy. It's not unusual to see that, right? We get these pops and then we give it all back. These drops and then run it back up. So looking at the volume profile, we are well below the weekly expected move top. We're back in this lower volatility box. And while we didn't get down to the low yesterday, we got pretty close. That's going to be a definitive line in the sand that we want to keep our eye on. So for today, the main issue is yesterday's low. If we happen to break yesterday's low, the target is going to be this low from Monday, and then we'll really get rowdy to the downside. There is a large area of volume over our head. This is old price action, right? Old volume is still a resistance that we need to get through, but it also lines up with the Globex high, which makes sense because when we had this spike, we started to rally to the upside. The Globex high ran into that volume and we couldn't get through it, right? So that proved the resistance, and now we've pulled back from that. So it wouldn't surprise us to take another run at that resistance. We've got very clear lines here between the Globex high of today and this big candle from the spike. Either one of those for your support and resistance, should we get tested, is going to be kind of the catalyst to move us beyond that. So, like I said, we are back in the box. If we break this low from Monday, we're going to aim back down to the 42.75 area. That would be the low end of this box. And we haven't average daily range of around 2%, and we're up a half of a percent. So, we could make the move. For the most part, the half of a percent that we got is this spike here. So, we'd be talking about giving that back and then perhaps challenging these lows. All right, for the Nasdaq, after that large spike, we've just been kind of maintaining the range. This is just winding up more and more and more energy, like we talked about yesterday. And again, really great price action. Right? I mean, it doesn't get much better than that. So for the Nasdaq, 14,150 to the downside. We break that, it's going to start to get a little nasty. We got a large, shallow area in the volume profile and the TPO. So if we do break above that Globex high, we have a fairly easy move through that zone. Right? We shouldn't have a lot of resistance other than perhaps the low of Wednesday, right around that area. Could find a little bit of difficulty there. It's got precedence from back here too. Right? And if we were to take that and drag it back, it's still got precedence from back here as well. So a lot of history right there around that 14,400 area for an upside move. We're only, we're up 0.75%. I say only, but in this market, 0.75% is nothing. Should we break through this Globex low, we'll look to challenge the low of yesterday and then the low of Monday. We really don't even want to consider how much worse it's going to get if we happen to get below that, right? So 14,000 is really kind of a line in the sand on the Nasdaq. We bring it out to the higher time frame. You can see that there is a little more out here, but if we get down into that territory, it's going to be really nasty. So what we want to keep our eye on today is this continuation of the market walking back these rate hikes that they were pricing in, that 50-point basis hike. They're going to be walking that back a little bit. We got all these expiring options. Uh, the entire little bump that we have right now is all based on this meeting over in Russia. So if they happen to, start shooting at each other again, or perhaps moving troops around in a way that implies that meeting or no meeting, Russia's still going to go forward with this invasion, we're very likely to see the market adjust to that. There was mention of a very large ship at sea on fire with a ton of cars. Hadn't heard anything more on the report yet about what dealership it is or what automotive company it is, but maybe a direction to look at, right? Take a look at automotive, see if there's going to be any impact from that. Nobody's scheduled to stream this morning, but I'm very likely going to be in there streaming anyways. Um, I'll probably be in the large caps room, but everybody's welcome. We're going to be looking at stocks, futures, options. I'm very likely going to start a new position, meaning I'm going to go long in something, buy a call, and then use that call to sell to day trade short calls. It's what I've been doing for the last few weeks since there really hasn't been any great day trades that I would want to focus on, just been doing things like, buying a Tesla call and then selling calls against it if the loan call isn't working, or buying an Amazon call and selling calls against it. My Tesla call is going to expire today, so I'm going to need another call in something to have something to go out and sell on. So may focus on that a little bit, and then of course we'll see whatever's running, and we'll go that route, right? Really want to keep our eye on a couple of key sectors with this bump, right? They're going to be wanting to do a little bit of a capital rotation. So anything that was doing good is very likely going to fade out a little bit, and whatever hasn't been good is likely to come back in again, right? So taking a look at things like oil, USO, we're on the daily chart. We've had that really nice run up, nice clean break. So we're getting that first real pullback, finally hitting the 20 here. So, we're kind of setting up in energy a little bit. There is talk about one of the sand nations coming back online. If they get past the sanctions from that Iran nuclear deal, or whatever country nuclear deal it happens to be, that's going to be more oil back on the market again. There's a lot of fear and uncertainty right now between sanctions on Russia. If they do happen to get out of control and we whack them with sanctions, Russia's a large energy producer. So a little bit of give and take there. Keep your eye on energy. Could be a possible play. Bitcoin kind of fading back off, but it is resting on that 20. So, maybe. XOP, XLE, both energy markets, just different versions of it. Both holding above that green line, which is my 20 moving average. Devil's Metal. This one in gold really been getting a lot of attention in the last few days. Makes sense because we're seeing the markets try to find a safe haven. The main ones, though, if we're going to see a trend today in the Nasdaq and the S&P, if we're really going to see the market lift up off of these lows, it's going to come from tech and finance. I say tech and finance, but a lot of times we can see it limp along if we can just get one of those two. So tech is up a little bit this morning. We really want to see both of these go together, but they're both up at least 0.5%. That's a good start. As you can see on the weekly options list, we have a lot of names this morning that are up a significant amount, right? So there are plenty of things out there that we can focus on. So I think we'll be just fine. There's always something to focus on. The sectors still aren't looking that good. If we were to ask the question, how many names in the S&P are up this morning, at least 0.5% or 1%, not a very high list, right? So we're going to want to back away from the sectors and lean a little deeper into our own watch lists, right? These are the days where I talk about we really got to be stock pickers rather than just following the top weighted names in the sectors. So what the S&P sectors are missing, it's usually what we end up checking on, are some of these more modern sectors, right? Like the crypto sector. There's a new ETF used for crypto, but it really doesn't capture the picture very well. So the crypto list we got here shows that Bitcoin's doing really good this morning, but it's not really a Bitcoin list, right? These are companies that are involved in blockchain or are heavily invested in crypto. And most of them look to be doing really good this morning. Got a couple of stragglers that aren't maybe doing so hot, but they're small market cap companies. The big dogs are doing really good. Another market that we just don't really have for an SE sector, the EV market, right? So kind of coming in and taking a look at the EV names. We've got a couple of small no-name Joe Schmo companies out there, but the rest of them are looking really good this morning, including Tesla, Li Auto, Ford, Ride, NIO, XPEV, right? Some of your legacy names like GM. So the EV market may be something worth focusing on this morning too. And the marijuana names this morning. Right, so we got plenty of opportunity between this and the futures. Should be a well-rounded Friday with a lot of opportunity. I don't see why we can't wrap it up, get it done, and have a good weekend. For those of you on the YouTube, if you're not a part of the Bullish Bears, swing by, stop in, grab a trial, come over to the Discord, hang out, ask questions, learn something, make some money.